Turning off normal human male mode. Switching to dad mode. Welcome in to Dad Mode with your hosts, Bearded Nova and Morph.
Let's talk about the post office, shall we? Josh's adventures with the Australian Post.
Oh gosh, okay, let's go.
So I've tried packing up this thing because it's made out of 3D filament stuff.
Yep.
It's very lightweight. So I've kind of like packed it up and taken it down there, and then they're like, look, that's really might not make an international journey. Those want to know it's going from Australia over to New Zealand. It's not that far, but still it's international. They're afraid of damage. They're like, meh, send it back. So I sent it. I've gone, taken it back, redone it all. Then I've decided to add more to it inside the package. Sent in surprises. Sent it away. Got rejected by my customs, so it's come back to the house again. So I had to redo it, and I understand why. I'm not going to lie, I've been on edge this week because it's actually landed in New Zealand. Up until yesterday, it cleared New Zealand customs, this process has taken about a month for me to finally get it into New Zealand, because when they gave it back to me the first time and I was repackaging it, I was like, this thing weighs nothing in weight. Let's send average something. So besides what I was giving him, so I was maybe going to give him a cup, but then the cup I felt like was going to break more than the stand. So then I was still searching around the house looking for other things, and then I found meat shredders. For pulled meat. Oh, your bear claws. The ones that I decided to package look like Wolverine claws because they're full metal. And realistically, it looks like brass knuckles with spikes on the end. It's the best way.
Like Freddy Krueger gloves?
Yeah, kind of like Freddy Krueger gloves. You hold onto a bar like a meat cleaver like you would, but then there's 3 big metal prongs that sit out like this far from that. So you can.
Yeah.
But it comes in a pair of 2, right? So that's why I got rejected by my customs, because they thought it was a weapon and I didn't properly disclose what they were. So I've had to, trying to explain that when you're declaring something, what you've got in there is like metal, meat, shredders.
It's like, what don't they understand? Okay, look, I'm just gonna haunt children in their dreams and kill them.
Exactly.
In their dreams.
Exactly. That's what I was worried. It's an average. I'm like, it's gone. It's made it over to your end of the world. But let's just see what happens when it gets there, because he doesn't know this is coming. Obviously, by the time this episode comes out, he would have the parcel by now. And he goes, look, it's going to be all fine unless they think there's a weapon in there. Like, yeah, well, yeah, possibly. I said, it's not, but I mean, if you're looking at an x-ray, you're x-raying this box and you've got 2 claws, 2 spike hands coming through. Don't be surprised if the parcel's open before it gets to your average. I said, I'm not going to be surprised if they don't x-ray this thing and go, what the fuck's in here? I need to open up this box. Jeez. Such a journey. It's really deterred me from mailing people.
It would have been easier to fly there just holding it in your lap.
I almost got someone. I found a printing business in Christchurch where he lives in New Zealand. I think he's around that Christchurch area. I found a business somewhat close to him that could print it, and then for the cost, I was like, nah, I'll just make it here and ship it. It's way more easy and cost effective if I do that. Looking at it all now, it probably would have been better for me to get them to do it, but lessons learned. Lessons learned there.
Yeah. It's making me think of some of the horror stories I've had flying in the past. I never really had a problem mailing things. I don't really mail a lot, but yeah, I mean, like everyone else, I think I've lost luggage before.
Oh, really?
But
never lost luggage.
I remember in my job, it was 4 business trips in a row. My luggage didn't get there with me, and it was a nightmare. But the worst time I ever had, and I live in the U.S., and I went to India for the second time I went to India. And they have duty-free shops.
Yes.
after you've gone through like security and you're in the boarding area. So I went in there and I bought a nice bottle of whiskey. I think it was Johnny Walker Blue.
I love Johnny Walker Blue.
They put it in a package with a
nice box.
red seal to show that you haven't opened it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm carrying it on. Right. I throw it in my carry-on bag. And they're like, yeah, you need to empty this out. I'm like, what do you mean empty this out? I just paid like $200 for this or whatever. They're like, you can't bring this liquid on. I'm like, I bought it from your duty-free shop on the other side of security. And like, yeah, you can't have it. And apparently I was getting angry. Surprise. And I saw them reach to their shoulder and go, we've got a problem down here in boarding. I'm like, fuck. So then more security guards came and they're like, you need to get rid of it. I'm like, I'm not getting rid of this. I just bought this. So they ended up making me put it in my luggage.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's going to break. And I'm like, oh, whatever. It's something I can do.
What year are we talking? Is this post?
Let's see. So I started at my job. So this must have been in 2017.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate for the airport here. Weapon?
No.
Glass bottle.
Is it? How's that a weapon? I mean, okay.
Come on. Break a glass bottle. You got a stabbing utensil there.
But I would have had to empty it first, and it's expensive whiskey, so I would have drink in it.
Maybe if you look, I'm not gonna.
I would have been too drunk to do anything.
I'm not gonna get too far into it, but look, if you're really desperate to get a weapon onto a plane, that's $200. That's a pretty quick and easy way to get a weapon on the plane.
I guess.
I may have now just created you as a flight risk.
It was an annoying incident.
Yeah, I could understand, but yeah. Sorry if you ever have to fly again and now you're flagged for security as a flight risk, but Yeah.
The other thing that trip taught me, and this happens on every international trip I do for my job.
Yeah.
They have this policy where you fly business class. If you fly domestic, you fly coach. If you fly international, you fly business class, which is like first class essentially. Yeah. And oh my God, is it fucking amazing. I remember the first time I went, my wife was home with our kids. Let's see, it was 2016. So they were 5 and 3.
Yep.
And they're not really in school, and like it's just a lot of work for her and all this stuff. And I'm on the plane, and like they're giving me like champagne as soon as I sit down, feeding me in like real China, real silverware, real meals. I'm taking pictures and sending it to her. And she's like, thanks. I had fucking saltines while I took care of your fucking children.
No.
And I'm like, oh.
No, you did it.
I did. I was excited. And then I forgot how shitty she had it at that moment.
No.
But I didn't learn my lesson. So when we got to our layover, it was 14 hours. There was the lounge that we got to be in had free food, free booze, free showers, free like little rooms to sleep in. I'm telling her all this. It didn't go well, Bearded. I didn't learn my lesson.
I can tell. I can tell by this that you have made some costly mistakes here.
Yes.
The moment you started and saying that you were taking photos of, you should have just said you were transporting with the rest of the animals in the plane. The business was cutting costs. They put you in a cage. You were going in with the luggage. And she would have felt like she was having a better time than you.
I don't always think.
I just react.
I do. I get excited sometimes, and I just react. And it's funny, what's fun? When I tell that story to every married man I tell that story to has the same reaction you do, where they're like, what's wrong with you? I don't know, man. I don't know.
I thought I was doing the right thing. Be excited for me, please, wife. Be excited for me. Look what I've got, what you don't.
Yeah, yes. So
actually,
after that trip, we had to fly somewhere else. And I'm like, well, I flew business class once. I've got to do it every time now because, it's special.
I've upgraded myself.
And then I looked at the prices. I'm like, oh, no, that's not happening. And then for a brief instant, I thought, what if I get myself a business class ticket and the family, like the coach? And then fortunately, the smarter part of our brain said, are you out of your mind?
You would have a family when you got there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or they would have pushed me out of the plane, during the flight.
You're talking about flights and that, and the customer of mine and a friend, we were talking the other day about a trip that he's recently come back from overseas, and it's the same, I was just asking how did it went, etc. And he's like, it all went great besides the 18-month-year-old boy he's got. He goes, he just really wants to squeal in excitement for the 7-hour flight and then not stay still. He goes, so it was really, really hard. He goes, I'm thinking of going over to, he goes, well, we are planning on going to New Zealand later in the year. He goes, but it's really throwing down in my mind. And I went, oh yeah, but New Zealand's half the distance of that flight. Like, it can't be too bad. And he goes, yeah, well, my wife is going over there for a conference for the week before, and then me and the 3 kids are supposed to fly after. So I completely understand why he doesn't want to fly. But at the same point, next year, where he went in the 7-hour flight, my mother goes holidays there all the time over in Bali. And I was going to send 2 of our kids over with her because she's like, I'll take 2 of the kids. If you pay for their tickets, they can come with me. And I was like, that'd be fun. I'll send both the kids over there. And then after that, I thought, oh no, stuff it. We can all go. The wife, we'll all go. It'll be great. That's what I've had in my head for the last month or so, going, yep, next year we'll get the dates. I'll buy the tickets. We'll lock this in. We're going. I get off the phone to this mate about his trip to Bali with an 18-month-year-old and how hell it was on both ways and that there was nothing he could do. And it dawned on me that Dakota will be 18 months around that time when we go to fly. Yeah, she's almost a year. Almost a year.
Wow.
But she'll be 18 months when we're planning on going there. So now I've got a large shadow of doubt over whether I want to go fly because he's just showing me that it's not the perfect time to fly with children at that age.
Right. So I've never taken the story I gave earlier was just my wife that was going to go. It was going to be me in business and her and coach. So it wasn't my kids. So I know it's even worse. So my kids have never flown unless last weekend, a local airport was having this like Young Eagles Club where, kids could come down and learn about planes and then take a 15-minute flight. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. So my younger son's like, oh, I can't wait to do this. So he was super excited. We went, we saw the little 2-seater plane. He hopped on it. He took video the entire time he was on there. He fucking loved it. Yeah. And he's like, I can't wait to fly a commercial jet now. My older son seems to be afraid of heights. He did not want to go in the plane.
I can understand that.
You wait to take a commercial flight. He's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to. I'm like, there are going to be vacations to go on, bud. You're going to have to.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I got to like drug him and then just he wakes up and he's in a new place. But
Mr. T in the 18.
That's what I was thinking. Like put it in a hamburger or something. And then he'll be like, I feel sleepy. Oh, go lay down, bud. And then he'll wake up in Hawaii.
It was the first time my wife flew was only a year or so ago.
That was the first time?
Yeah. She's never flown before up until 2 years ago. 2 years ago. It was, and none of the kids had. Oh, sorry, one of them had. And that was with school though. So my wife was taking that one, her, and another one down to see her sister. And so she hadn't flown. So she got Valium for herself, thinking I might need a little bit of Valium just to kill, take it off. The youngest one went into a full panic mode, get walking, because it wasn't, the airport that they flew out of wasn't the airport. I've never flown out of that airport, but you have to walk the tarmac to get on to board the plane, where nearly every time I've flown, I've gone through terminals. And so that's kind of daunted on the little one getting in there. So she got into a full panic mode. And I think my wife gave her like half a Valium or something just to try and calm her down for that flight. That flight went down.
How old?
She would have been 10.
Oh, okay.
She gave it a tiny little bit just to try and calm her down. I think she said that on the way there. I can't quite remember. Anyway, on the way back, it was like 10 times worse, the panic attack that the youngest one had. And my wife was in a hurry trying to get them onto the plane and sorted. she accidentally gave her a whole tablet. So she kind of did the whole Mr. T thing there. And then when she got to the airport and I picked her out, so out of it. And then I had picked them up, but they were a little bit late. There's a Burger King just down the road. I said I hadn't had dinner. They hadn't had dinner. I was going to go through. Oh, no, they had something, but I hadn't. So I said, I'm going to go through Burger King, get something for the drive home. It's, an hour and a bit drive. And she goes, oh, just may as well get us all something. We're all a bit hungry. Trying to watch the 10-year-old eat on Valium this chicken sandwich. And I've got my corrections here for this show, talking to you, chicken sandwich. Was hilarious because it was just like, I'm just trying to make it to her mouth. Like,
you're making me want to try that hypothetically with my kid.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
That sounds funny.
So, there is a solution to flying. You just go see your doctor, get the right dosage amount. But yeah, it was hilarious seeing them get off the to the airport like that.
I like that. Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna be like when I try to fly with my oldest boy. He gets very nervous about some things. Like we went to an amusement park last summer, and like I said, he doesn't like heights. But he agreed to go on a roller coaster. It was both my boys and me. So we're waiting in line for about an hour. We get up there, we're next. And then at the last minute, he's like, I can't. He's like, I can't do this. So he just goes down the exit, So it's like, I'm thinking, what it's going to be like when we fly? Like, you can't just get off the plane.
No, you're strapped in, you're going for it. But
yeah, and he's just going to freak the hell out. So
the best thing,
I really think I may have to go to his doctor and be like, can you give me something? Because I know he's going to be super anxious and panicky.
Yeah, and then, I would do that. And then I would also probably, obviously not a window seat.
No.
Put them in the aisle.
Yeah.
iPads, tablets, they've got that nowadays. There's a distraction, I guess, for kids on the plane. And that's going back to my mate. He was saying at the age that his little one, 18-month-old, was going off and having a great time. Wasn't angry or upset, just hyped up, excited. That's all. And at that age, they're not distractible with technology compared to his other two children who he said they're easy. You put them on a plane, you give them their iPads, headphones on, they're, for the trip. There's nothing more to it. Probably that. I'd use technology just to. Yeah.
I will tell the doctor, look, a friend of mine drugs his kids. Can I get some of those? It would work, but it's one of these days we got to fly. We're going to Washington, D.C. later this year.
Yeah.
And we're taking a train down because we don't feel like driving.
Yeah.
And that's, again, you just give them their tablets and stuff. But that'll be interesting because, like I said, they're 10 and 12, which they're very excitable. They want to do fun things. Washington, D.C. is just a lot of historical stuff.
How long is the train?
I don't know how much you're going to like it.
How long is the train?
Oh,
I didn't ask you
I don't know. I'm going to say 6-7 hours. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
I've only ever done one long train trip, and as a child, I remember. But obviously, as a child, we didn't have iPads and fucking mobile phones and everything else. But as a child, it was boring as shit.
By the way, because as we established in our last episode, we're old, and these things didn't exist when we were young.
No. I just remember eating expensive food that wasn't that great. And being on a train for a few hours that really wasn't that interesting either. But nowadays, technology just changes everything.
It does indeed. Kids complaining. It makes me think of at one time we went to this festival and I got this lobster sandwich, and my older boy was 8, 9, 8, I think, and he's like, I want to try your lobster. I'm like,
okay.
It's expensive. So I'm like, all right, take a bite. Takes a bite. I don't like it. And I'm like, you owe me $5. Like, what are you thinking, boy? It's lobster, man.
I'm just gonna say it's not an episode unless we're complaining about something.
Right.
So I just I should just rename the topics to what we're complaining about this week. But
it's usually the children. Because we could probably complain a lot about our jobs, but we don't talk about work on here. So
no. I will say though, something people can complain, and I'll have it turned on for this one because I didn't mention it for the last. But there's now a way to contact us through the podcast now.
There is?
Yeah, so Buzzsprout now have like what they call fan mail, where you can contact us directly through that.
I haven't been on there in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just noticed it the other day, but I will turn that on for this episode and future episodes just to see if that is an easy way.
Cool, because we always like, well, go on Twitter or go on our TikTok or go on YouTube. But if you can just do it right through Buzzsprout, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, that the other thing I'm thinking of bringing up here, well, while we're wrapping this up in a sense, is we do have a merch store coming online soon. So I haven't worked out the complete address for that because I'm still very on the fence about an actual URL, even though we keep going backwards and forwards. I come up with new ideas, and it's like a long-term relationship, man. It's a commitment when you're buying a URL.
It is. Before we put a ring on it, we got to make sure it's the right one.
Right, well, that's exactly.
Because we're not going to change after you when you're a business, you don't want to keep changing it.
No.
So you got to make sure it's right.
Exactly. That I'm also hoping that the one I really want comes available and I can fucking quickly take it up before.
Yeah. Well, what I would like to know is if anyone listening to this, if you have ideas what kind of merch you would like to see, we want to hear from you. Because, it could just be Dad Mode Podcast on various things. Or do you want some of our kind of sarcasm in meme form on shirts and mugs and stuff like that? Let us know what you want. Yeah.
I look forward to it. I love doing merch. I just love making merch.
Oh, I remember, a year and a half ago, I had one Twitch stream where I spent the entire 2.5 hours just designing merch and asking people in chat to tell me. I think you were in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what should I make? And I ended up with like 13, 14 designs. It was pretty awesome.
And then probably the other one I want to bring up is we'll probably do a live soon.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We're getting closer.
I like that you brought it up here. So we sort of have to do it now.
Yeah, I'm putting it out there into the universe because now it's forcing us to do it.
So would it be a TikTok thing? Would it be a Twitch thing? Because screw Kick. A YouTube thing?
We can do both.
What do you think would have the most? I think TikTok gets the most like drop in people, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I'd do it on. I'd pump it through. I'd probably pump it through mine. Now that I'm a part of a TikTok creating thing, it actually gets boosted even more. But we could probably do both. I can do both TikTok and Twitch at the same time. One on both ends. So if you can do this Twitch one, and I'll do the TikTok one, and then I'll join the chats.
There you go. I gotta finish setting up the dual streaming with the vertical in Streamlabs.
Yeah. There is one issue with that.
What?
Streamlabs doesn't allow you to choose a category for TikTok.
Really?
Yeah.
That's annoying.
I think you can do it through the app while you're live. If that makes sense. I think there's a back end way to do it.
If you guys are interested in seeing a live version of this podcast, follow us everywhere, but follow us specifically on TikTok, Dad Mode Podcast. And whenever we go live, you will see the notification pop up. So you're welcome. And then you can see what we do in real time. And, it is amazing what we do. So
surprisingly, not as much into breakups like the first one. Nowadays, we can kind of just go start to finish.
Yeah. And you'll realize that like the episodes that you hear, it's just like the live thing that you will eventually see. Yeah. So we've changed our format on it. Actually, that would be a good topic for a future episode. Is like how I know we've touched on it before, like how we do what we do. Yeah. But have another one that's the evolution of what we've done, Yeah,
okay.
Very scripted to very just whatever.
Yeah, I like that one. I do like that one.
Cool. All right, we'll see everybody next time.
You've been listening to Dad Mode. Our passion is navigating this wild journey of parenthood and modern life. From balancing family time to managing your career and still squeezing in some gaming and content creation. And no matter what the women say, they will never be able to pry the controller out of our cold, dead hands. And Anyway, we hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Dad Mode Podcast. And we can be found on every podcast site at Dad Mode Podcast. Y'all be cool. See you next time.